Hey everyone, wanted to go over my pedal board real quick and show you what I am using currently for videos and for church setup and whatnot. So let's dive right in. First pedal I am using is this Boss FV30, and love this volume pedal. It's feels great. Love the mechanics inside of it. Doesn't feel like it's gonna break or anything. Really small. I like that. It's probably not the best for my foot, as you see. But it's a good pedal. It saves space on my board, which is great. Next pedal is the Digitech Drop. Love this pedal. Can't recommend it anymore, especially for praise and worship people. This is really helpful pedal. If you've never heard of it, it's basically it's a pedal that allows you to drop your tuning in half steps. So basically, one is a half step down, two would be a whole step, and so on. Very useful pedal. I have tested it in our broadcast at church. We have a really professional setup at church, and I've listened back through our recordings we've done and posted online of me using this, a half step down and a whole step down. Man, you really can't tell that I'm using a pedal to drop my tuning through a whole recording of my guitar mixed in with every other instrument on stage. Just hearing it by itself, you can test it and tell there's a little bit of a high-end loss with this pedal, I feel like, but I can always compensate for that if I need to. But man, I really recommend this pedal. It's definitely helped me out on Sundays where worship leaders have dropped the tuning down, dropped the key down of a song, a half step, a whole step on a Sunday, and you've prepared for it in the original key. Or honestly, nowadays we hardly ever play songs in the original key for worship stuff. So this really helps out, especially if there's a song that's got an open string part, like maybe in the key of E or something, and your worship leader drops it down to E flat or D. This is your go-to when that happens. That has definitely saved me in those instances. Some of the other keys players and stuff like to tell me that I'm cheating when using that pedal. But I find that it really helps whenever you're trying to maintain the sound of the song and keep parts in sounding correct, so with open string stuff and whatnot. But anyway, that's enough about that pedal. The Polytune is the next one. Love this pedal. It's very precise. I have it running through the tuner out on my volume pedal. So basically, when I want to tune, is just drop the volume pedal down. Really helpful for having an always-on tuner, especially when playing slide. You can make sure you slide up to the correct pitch, even if you're pressing a note down your fretboard, or even bending a note, making sure that you are hitting the note right on pitch. And next pedal is in the chain. It goes volume, drop, and then into my Mastermind Switcher. Love this switcher. This has changed my game, literally, with everything I play. Basically, I can map basically all the pedals, plug into here, and I can do any sort of patch changes, any effect change I want for section of the song. That's at least how I set it up. So like I have this song set up as verse, and you really can't see it, but verse and chorus, bridge. So I can program whatever pedals I want on, and with press of a button, as well as MIDI changing stuff, but I'll get to that later. So if I flip to this loops page, which I have set up, I can see what pedals are on, and I've made these little these little pictures that I have taped to my switcher to help me know which ones are on, and not have to memorize what the numbers are. I can just hit that loops page and look down real quickly and know that, oh, I have these pedals on. Flip to this other preset. Oh, I have these pedals on. Just helps me to view everything very nicely. So moving on, let's start going with the pedals. I've got this Pog 2. I have had this pedal for a long time. It's been my go-to for Pog setting, or Pog type sound, or octave generator. My first preset there. Before that, I like to tell you I MIDI modded this recently, and is open this pedal up so much more. I can have the Mastermind tell this to do patch changes, so I can hit a button and it automatically flips to whichever preset. It does it pretty quickly, which I love. So my first preset I have is just a high octave. That's pretty much my settings that I go to. And I will have the high octave a little bit halfway for my preset 1. 2 is I'll do a low octave, about like that. 3 is both of them. I don't know. I don't remember where that one was, but probably somewhere like that. And then 4, I do a one with a high octave up a little more, maybe right there. And then I think I have my last preset is just like a song specific. I think it's like Here As in Heaven, where I don't even remember how I set that one, but maybe I think it's both octaves, maybe like that or something. Cool, so there's that pedal. And then Cali 76, love this pedal. It's my favorite compressor I've played so far. It's not as noisy as some other compressors that I've had in the past. Here is pretty much my settings. That's what I'll use it. Those will kind of vary. I'll maybe change this knob a little bit. Maybe mess with the ratio a little bit. Next one in the chain is the Wroclaw Centaur. I've had this pedal a while. A lot of people ask me, is that a real Wroclaw? Yes, it is a real Wroclaw. I had this given to me as a gift. Love this pedal. It's kind of the center of my tone. It's kind of like my always on. I will keep the gain down for if I'm playing a Gretsch with higher output pickups. Keep that about there to there. Maybe a treble up a little more. If I'm playing single coils, gain up a little more, and maybe a telly or strat. I'll have the treble around that spot. Just depends on the song too. So these two will be kind of like my always on. Sometimes I'll turn either one of them off for certain parts or certain songs. That'll be like what I'll call my first stage gain setting, and then second stage I'll add the sparkle drive stacked on that. So there's kind of my go-to settings for the sparkle drive. And then like my 2.5 setting, between 2 and 3 would be Wroclaw Centaur off and Del Mar and Cali 76 on. So there's kind of like my go-to settings for Del Mar, just kind of straight up. I'll tweak these per guitar, maybe, boost the bass up more for a certain guitar part or even certain guitar. and then treble depends on the guitar part as well, but I'll just keep them at noon for my go-to setting. But if I want more gain, like my stage 3, then I'll have the Del Mar and Klon and Cali stacked. Okay, and then if I want more gain than that, then I'll use my Rat with the Cali 76, turn off the Klon. But if I want, even more than that, I can use any of these combinations. A lot of times I'll do, not a lot of time actually, but sometimes I'll do Rat and Klon if I want a really huge sound or really huge solo. And maybe if I'm even doing that big of a gain boost, I'll turn off my Cali 76 just to kind of keep the noise level down, because it gets really noisy with that much gain on. Okay, cool. So next pedal in the chain is the Memory Man. I use this pedal. There's kind of like my go-to settings for this pedal. I'll keep the feedback up pretty hot. I'll use this pedal mainly for 8th note. And I have my Mastermind sending tap information to this pedal, and so it'll just tap in. It'll send a little click. Here, I'll do that real quick. So there we go. That's the Memory Man for you. That's pretty much how I use it. And sometimes I'll cycle between different. I might use a quarter note, but mainly an 8th note. Okay, so next pedal is the HX Stomp. This is my go-to modulation. I know this pedal can do a lot more than that. It'll do amps and whatnot, but I just use it for modulation as of now. Like chorus and vibrato and tremolo, whatnot. I do have some certain delay settings I use on this as well. I love all the Line 6 delays, and honestly all of Line 6's stuff is great. I used to have a Line 6 DL4 that I used, and so I've programmed some of my old DL4 settings in here, like with a tube delay, a low res delay that I really love, and so I'll use those sometimes on, maybe if we're doing an older song that I used a certain delay on, then I'll go and recall that setting that I used all those years ago. I can use this, or I have used this before as a standalone rig by itself, with programming everything into it. If I need to, do a fly rig or something where I can't take my whole pedal board, that pedal is pretty powerful. It'll do a lot of stuff. But for me, just using it as modulation right now, I set up the this little expression knob to usually the mix for my modulation stuff. As you can see that it's changing the mix percentage for this chorus, so I can roll that with my foot. And then this timeline here, had this guy for a while. Oh, by the way, before that, that's where my pedal board splits into stereo. I have this guy set to series in the switcher, the Mastermind Switcher, all its internal functions. So series for that, and then when I hit the Strymon pedals, I go into parallel. So these two guys are set to parallel. So what that means is I have to turn off the dry signal in these pedals, because there's a dry signal when you have this set up in parallel. There's a dry signal in there that you can't turn off, and so you have to disable it on here, because you don't want two dry signals. That would just be too much. So timeline, I've had this for a while. I just have basic settings, quarter note, dotted eighth, 16th, and whatever else I need. I've got some dual delay settings in there, and I can just recall those through the Mastermind, and instead of having to do song presets, which I used to do in the past, and I ran out of space on this guy. So I found that I used a digital setting the most of the time, and so that's what I'll go to. I'll just have my digital setting, and honestly you can manipulate whatever knobs you want to on each setting per setting in the Mastermind. So I'll do that sometimes with that guy. And then Big Sky, I use cloud reverb a lot. That's my favorite setting on the Big Sky. I use Hall as well, plate, spring. This pedal does a lot, but my favorite is the cloud. I have these two expression knobs hooked up to each one of these as well, where I can play with the mix. At least that's how I have it set up, is to change the mix. Maybe I play or maybe I I'm playing a set and I flip to a certain preset, and I feel like I just need a little bit more reverb. Maybe I'm the only guitar player for a set list, and I don't want to have to go and do extra presets. And maybe I want a little more verb to fill out the sound a little more, cover more ground. This gives me the ability to just map this to whatever knob I want, but I just typically set it to the mix knob on these two. So out of that I go into, I know you really can't see it, but this Goodwood audio output, and that just allows me to, if I want to run mono, then I just unplug one of those cables, and it automatically sums everything to mono. If I want to run stereo, plug it in, plug in the second one, and it splits out accordingly. So another cool thing I do is I have all of my pedals hooked up in a MIDI loop. There's this little MIDI box you can't see. I've got it underneath there, and it allows me to split everything, or have enough outputs basically. And then I come back into the Mastermind, and then USB out to a little USB hub that I've got mounted underneath there, just a cheap Amazon one. And it allows me to take, basically join a USB from here and to a hub, and then where I can just have one cable and go out to the computer and be able to see all of my MIDI pedals on my computer all at once, and make changes on the fly if I need to. And then I've got my G7 Art Capo. Favorite capo I've ever used so far. It allows you to adapt. Art means adaptive radius technology, so it adapts to the radius of your guitar. Best capo I've ever played. I use Ultimate ears. I've got the UE7s. There's my EBO. A slide. Got a little mini slide there and regular slide. I don't remember what brand these are, but whoops. That's pretty much it, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Oh, one more thing. I use the Strymon Ojai and Strymon Zuma for power. And these cables are Planet Waves cables. And then some of those underneath there are the Amphenol, the stereo cables that I had to custom wire to get the Strymon stuff to see the TRS into this Mastermind, and that pretty much covers everything. Picks. Maybe I use the horse picks and the picks that the Edge from U2 uses. So these are Herdem picks. So all right, let me know if you got any questions. Thanks.